Alright. Howdy there, folks. As I again, Brandon Wenzel, your guide into all things martial arts cinema related. Why? Because, of course, I know Kung Fu. So, I wanted to start off this video by first saying, her name is Jerry Ryan. My apologies. I did mention in my last video that one time I was going to do a video where I wasn't going to have to apologize for something in my last video. That is apparently not this one. So, to Miss Ryan, I apologize. I am a fan. I apologize. Now, moving away from that, I did want to bring up something that I felt I had to bring up because this is something I found out just today. And even though it's not really martial arts related, and I mean, this is obviously a martial arts oriented, pun intended, show, I did feel that this, it is cinema related and it warranted saying. So I just wanted to bring up the fact that today, unfortunately, we lost a veteran actor, a guy named James Rebhorn. You probably don't know the guy by name, but I can all but guarantee you've seen him in something. He was in Independence Day, Real Steel, a bunch of things. And unfortunately, he lost his fight with melanoma, and he passed away today. And I just felt that that warranted saying, even if it wasn't maybe martial arts related, So, that's my little, maybe not fitting tribute, because how fitting is it to, be mentioned on my crappy little show that I do here, but that's my little tribute to Mr. James Rebhorn. So, again, not martial arts related, but, if you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself, as far as I'm concerned. So, moving on from that. Okay, on to the show, as it were. Alright, so what's the show about today? Alright, well, okay. If you followed any of my, past videos, then you know that I am, for this month, doing a Cynthia Rothrock marathon. And by Cynthia Rothrock marathon, I mean I'm doing one of these, like, every few days or so. Unfortunately, I've been really bad about actually getting to these due to, just scheduling stuff and work and just, feeling kind of crappy. But, moving on. I'm on this now. That's what I'm doing. So, okay. Okay. So, what movie am I doing today? Alright, well, I want to start doing something that hopefully I'll be able to keep to, that I am calling, oh, come on now. Super Sequel Sunday. It may end up being Super Sequel Saturday sometimes, but the important thing is that there are 3 S's in the name. 3 S's is better than 2 S's, because 2 S's is some Nazi shit. But that's why this is 3 S's. So, Super Sequel Sunday. What does Super Sequel Sunday mean? You can't figure that out? You have to ask me? Okay. Well, alright. I'm doing a review today for Rage and Honor. Starring, of course, Cynthia Rothrock Marathon. Super Sequel Sunday means I'm also doing a review for Rage and Honor 2. Not in this particular review, because that, I think, would just take up too much time in a single review, but hopefully, by tonight, the end of tonight, I'll have one for this one up too. And hopefully I'll be able to keep doing that as time dictates, and I'll be able to get, at least a couple reviews to you every Saturday and or Sunday. So, alright then. Let's move on to the review. Okay. Rage and Honor. Alright, here we go. Some things to bring up about Rage and Honor. Alright, well, first and foremost, early 90s American martial arts film. Now, wait a second now. You wait the hell a second. Some of you who are fans of martial arts films might hear early 90s martial arts film, American martial arts film specifically, and you might start heading for them thar hills. Now, first of all, don't head to them thar hills. They're filled with, like, all kinds of deliverance shit, and you don't need none of that stuff, okay? And Don Swayze, which, I got a movie I'm going to review at some point, but Don Swayze explodes in it. That's all you need to know right now. Who's Don Swayze? I'll get to that later, too. Anyway, but no, this is actually a rather cool film. Okay, so, and it's probably one of Cynthia Rothrock's better known American titles, particularly, you know, because it does have the sequel. But on top of that, it also co-stars, even though... No, he is, in fact, on the box. You can see it a little bit right there-ish. But it co-stars Richard Norton. Now, okay, again, don't run. Remember, them thar hills filled with Deliverance hillbillies. Okay, if you saw my review for Lady Dragon, you might be thinking, oh god, no, Richard Norton, Cynthia Rothrock. I promise you, Richard Norton does not rape Cynthia Rothrock in this film. I don't think there's like an edited, you know, a deleted scene of it. It does not occur. It would not stand in the context of the film because the two of them are actually allies in this film. So, remember, Richard Norton does not rape Cynthia Rothrock in this movie. That, if nothing else, take away from this movie. So, okay. What's the movie about? Alright, fair enough. Well, like I said, the movie stars Richard Norton and Cynthia Rothrock. Richard Norton, let's start with his character, because why the hell not? By the way, I do apologize, I'm a little bit of a cold or something right now, so... That was unprofessional, but I don't care. Anyway, Richard Norton's character plays this cop, right? He's a cop. Does cop-related things, like busting criminals and all that good stuff. Yay, Richard Norton. But wait, maybe not yay, Richard Norton. Why not yay, Richard Norton? Well, see, Richard Norton's Australia. And for some reason, the city that they're in, apparently it's just illegal to be Australian. At least to the effect that they're going to treat you like an absolute piece of crap. Because Richard Norton gets nothing but shit in this film. I don't know why. I really do not know why, by the way. Like, they bring up the fact that, like, you know, oh, well, his partner was killed. But that happened, A, in Australia, and B, wasn't his fault. Why everybody's a dick to Richard Norton in this movie, I do not know. But they are. Apparently, Americans are just dickbags. I'd believe it. Would you? Okay. So, alright, he's this Australian cop. I did want to bring up his commanding officer, played by Catherine Bach, who, if you're a fan of the old Dukes of Hazzard thing, then, you know, she played Daisy Duke. So, there you go. So, that's his character. Alright, now moving on to Cynthia Rothrock's character. Now, quick little thing, because I've been doing this, usually I do a little bit earlier in the video, but because I forgot, but because I remembered, I do a Cynthia Rothrock fact. So, Cynthia Rothrock fact for this particular, you know, thing that I'm doing right now. Did you know that Cynthia Rothrock's favorite weapons to use are hook swords? They are. They are. I'm kind of running out of the good stuff on the Cynthia Rothrock facts, unfortunately. But, I still got a few little things, and so, hook swords. Yay, hook swords! And, hey, I like hook swords too, so me and Cynthia Rothrock have that in common. So, Cynthia Rothrock's character in this movie does not use hook swords, by the way. No hook swords to be seen in this particular film, but they do come up in some of her others. So, unlike Richard Norton, who plays an Australian cop, she plays neither an Australian nor a cop. She, in fact, is an American martial arts instructor, which makes sense. She's Cynthia Rothrock, she knows martial arts. Presumably, she can instruct people to do martial arts. That's pretty much necessary for that job, I would assume. So, how does she have to do, you know, how does her and Richard Norton, how do they come together? All right, well, aside from teaching just average people martial arts, she's also one of these people who occasionally goes over there, teaches cops, you know, hey, look, you know, I know you're great, you know, you've got a gun and all that good stuff and everything, but you might not have a gun sometime. If you don't have a gun sometime, you might want to be able to kick somebody in the face. Just saying. She's one of those chicks. So, or, I guess she doesn't have to be chick for that. In fact, it probably, I don't know. But whatever, she's one of those people. To be a little bit more politically correct about it. Sorry, what else is going on in the film? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough, I like that question. You're thinking. So, there's this black kid named Paris, who is, he's filming Cynthia Rothrock, her character, in the film. Why is he filming Cynthia Rothrock's character? Personally, I think he's just a bit of a pervert. But it has something to do with some competition, winning $10,000. I don't know if it's an America's Funniest Home Video type of thing or what. But, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit vague on that whole thing. But whatever. It makes for... You have to have... Okay, let me explain a movie to you folks. Okay, you have to have things that transition into other things so that you can have a movie. So you have to have this black kid who's, this guy videotaping stuff. So he's filming her because apparently shit just goes down around her. I guess so. She does try to get some money out of an ATM and guys show up to hassle her. And of course she kicks the shit out of him because they're goons and goons suck. Their entire existence is to just get the crap kicked out of them. So she does that. All right. So I guess the kid's, not entirely wrong. Of course, he wasn't there to film that because, he's useless, I guess. I don't know. But he just wasn't there. So, all right. So, as a result of this whole thing with the cop thing, well, she meets Richard Norton. They have a little sparring session, a little good-humored jibing, as it were. And, all right, so that's how the two of those meet. And, I feign to call it really a relationship, but for lack, of a more erroneous term, let's just go ahead and call it a relationship. But that's how their relationship starts in the film. But Paris apparently is a fickle little bastard, so he decides instead of filming Cynthia Rothrock, he's going to start, filming Richard Norton's character, because apparently he, plays both sides of the plate. I don't know. I don't know, but whatever. He starts filming him for reasons. Space goblins. Space goblins. That's why he does it. Fucking space goblins. Fine. So, because space goblins told him to, Paris starts filming Richard Norton. Now, that would be okay, except for the fact that Richard Norton goes over there. He decides he's going to, bust this whole drug operation thing that's going on. But oh, wait! Because there has to be a twist, and it has to be a 90s twist. Of course, it turns out the two of the people involved with the drug operation are dirty cops. Let's call them Dingus 1 and Dingus 2. I was thinking about that earlier, by the way. Are a pair of dinguses, are they in fact dinguses, or are they dingai? I like dingai, personally. So, these two dingai, they're dirty cops, and they are the perfect atypical, just completely see-through dirty cops of the 90s. And they just... One thing about dirty cops in the 90s, real quick, whenever they had dirty cops in the 90s, not only were they completely see-through, you never got the sense, even once, that these people had any ounce of humanity outside of the character that they were presenting. They were always the most, you never felt any sympathy, okay, this is point A to point B to point C is how they became dirty cop. There's never, Officer Jeff, his son Billy, was run over by a cattle baron, which led to depression, and that's how, he became a dirty cop, because that by the way is, in fact, dirty cop Mad Libs of the 90s. You can just insert whatever you want, because I inserted cattle baron. Because if you can, why wouldn't you? It's cattle baron. So, but they don't have that. The 90s, they were just goons. So, okay. Alright, so they're there, drug deal, that whole thing. Alright, fine, fair enough. Now, everything's going swimmingly, I guess, as good as it can be, considering Richard Norton's there and he's kicking the shit out of him. But then one of the cops gets shot. Well, who shoots him? Well, it's this chick whose actress I didn't bother to really remember because I looked her up and I didn't see anything all that interesting. No offense to her. Sure, she's a, fine lady in real life, but she didn't do anything that I was particularly familiar with, so meh. But she's the right-hand person to the top guy, the evil guy in this whole thing, right? Why is that important? Well, of course it's important. You have to have an evil guy, There's got to be a main villain. It's how movies work. Again, movie 101, okay? You gotta look into this stuff, folks. You can't expect me to explain it to you all the time. All right. So here's the villain. Villain is this dude named Drago. But not Drago like, I must break you, Drago, from Rocky IV. Not that Drago. Not even a little bit. Well, almost a little bit. Because Drago is actually Brian Thompson. Now, who's Brian Thompson? Well, if you're like me, and you're around my age, you might remember an abysmal little movie called Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which sought to destroy the world through sorrow. Brian Thompson was part of this masterpiece of abortion that we called Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And he, in fact, played Shao Kahn. And what can I say about it? Wasn't his fault that movie was garbage. There were so many things wrong with that movie, not even the might of Brian Thompson could have saved it. But so he's that guy. Though in this one he has hairs, which is a little bit disconcerting at first, because you're like, he's the bald head, but he has hair in this one. Okay, fine. But yeah, he plays Drago, and he's the head evil guy, criminal empire guy. I don't know. He sells drugs and employs dinguses and stuff, and dingai, as it were. I don't know, but that's what the hell he does. Anyway, okay, so all this would have been fine too, except for the fact that, of course, you've got Pervy Paris up there, and he's filming this whole thing. But okay, this is an opportunity for Paris to save the day, right? To prove that he's not just going to take this shit home and jerk off to it. So maybe he would have. I don't know what he would do. But, so, it's, okay, so he's supposed to go over there and do this, but of course he does the dumbass thing that all these stupid fucking kids do. He knocks over something, which knocks over something, and of course they know that he's there. So how well does this go for our friend Pervy Paris? Not well at all. He gets beat the shit out of, but he manages to pass the tape off. And in the meantime, the chick who works for Drago decides, I'm going to go over there and pit the fact that I just killed this dirty cop on Richard Norton, because he hasn't been crapped on enough today. So, of course, it becomes this whole thing. Richard Norton has to try to find the tape to clear himself. And the only person who can help him with that is the woman that he's known for all of 12 minutes, Miss Cynthia Rothrock. I really do not understand the transition. Why he went to her in this situation. It does not really make a lot of sense because, I don't know. I do not know why the hell. But it just, for this, again, space goblins. Space goblins who are at war with the space elves told Richard Norton to team up with Cynthia Rothrock to stop the space elves, aka Drago. Okay? That's why. Space goblins. That's going to be my go-to whenever I just don't have a fucking reason for why shit happens in these movies, but it does. So, okay. So they have to team up. They have to go find out who has the thing. Alright, well, who had the thing? Like I said, Paris passed it off to a guy. Who's that guy? He's this dude named Baby. Well, he's nicknamed Baby. He's not a baby. He's in fact not David Bradley Baby. That would have been a hell of a thing, but it's certainly not him. But so okay, they go over there, they track Baby down, and he's this drug-riddled former Wall Street guy, and but of course he doesn't have it anymore because he went over there and passed off to a guy named Fast Eddie because Space goblins. Space goblins. I don't know. Just space goblins. So they have to go get it from Fast Eddie, alright? Right. So, okay, and around this point, the movie sort of takes on almost a bit of a tone of the Warriors, where you've got these two characters kind of making their way through these different hostile environments. And, you know, so they go to Fast Eddie's, and they break up Fast Eddie's. But, of course, one of Fast Eddie's goons runs, and he goes to Hannah the Hun, who runs the Huns. Because the space elves decided to retaliate. Oh, my God. Hannah the Hun likes to refer to herself in the third person. Hannah likes this. Hannah likes that. Hannah does this. Hannah drives Brandon fucking nuts. There should be some sort of law against referring to yourself in the fucking third person unless you've had a stroke or something like that, and you cannot physically do so. Because, oh my God, like, 5 minutes into the movie, I just wanted to murder her endlessly. Like, I wanted, like, 5 minutes alone in a room with her, walk out of the room, the entire room is just painted red. That's what I wanted. Oh my God, did she drive me nuts. But yeah, she runs the Huns, who work kind of for Drago, but not exactly. They have their own motives and stuff. So, okay, alright, so they've got the tape. Main characters go to them, they get captured, they have to do kind of a mock fight thing. Fisticuffs, as it were. Old-timey. But old-timey. But yeah, okay. So it doesn't, you know, of course, go their way, because then again, you know, that would be a weird way to end the movie. But they go over there and, you know, they get the tape back. But of course, Drago's not done yet. Drago, he's, you know... It also turns out, by the way, I should mention, Drago, he's played by... Yeah, no, I already said, played by Brian Thompson. I wanted to, you know, the thing that... The big, again, another 90s twist. Luke, I am your brother, I guess. Yeah, yes. Drago is, in fact, Cynthia Rothrock's brother, who sought revenge for their parents, because after they learned martial arts from their master didn't like it, Drago killed the master. So, that's called depth of plot, folks, I guess. I don't know. But... Alright, so then they have to go over there and they have to, you know, because Drago decides, alright, well, I need to get the tape back because I don't want, myself to be implicated, and certainly not my main gal, as it were, because of 1950s speak. So they go over there, they decide, you know what, we're going to go over there, we're going to kidnap Paris, right? Because at this point, I've already killed the other dinguy, and, you know... This is what we have to... Like, I'm trying to articulate it better, but it's just... There's no good way to, I guess. It just... I don't know. But, whatever. Alright. Okay. Let's be serious now, folks. This is... Serious, Brent. So... They capture him. This, of course, leads to a big square-off thing. You know, all right, well, you give us the tape, we'll give you the kid. They proceed to square off Cynthia Rothrock against, you know, Brian Thompson, a.k.a. Drago. But not, again, remember, not just Drago. Okay? That's the thing for this Drago. The bald head Drago. But he has hair. Again, remember, he has hair. Don't get confused. I need you to stick with me on this, okay? So, alright, so he goes over there, they square off, she kicks the shit out of him. He falls over a thing, but of course, you know, he's her brother, so of course she saves him. He proceeds to be a cheap-ass douchebag and kick her over and not offer her any assistance. Which, of course, prompts Richard Norton to show up and beat the ever-loving fuck out of him, and because I'm not your brother, he kicks him over the fucking side like he's, you know, goddamn fucking football and just drops his ass, because Drago's a duke. I meant to say a douche. I said a duke. He's not a duke. I don't think he's a duke anyway. If he is, it never comes up in the film. Oh, man. Anyway. So, of course, that's, and that, I guess the kind of coolish little twist ending thing at the end is, the tape gets destroyed, so Richard Norton can't prove his innocence, and he just has to go on the run. Again, because apparently it's legal to be Australian in whatever city they're in. Just space elves and space orcs. That's why. That's why. Anyway, okay. So, alright, so, okay, anything else? Anything else to bring up? Alright, well, I have a new segment that I'm doing here. Alright, in my little thing that I'm calling Interesting Goon News. Alright, what is Interesting Goon News? Well, it's simple, because it's hard for me to go over there and be like, oh, well, this guy and this guy and this guy's in this. It's like, no. Okay? I'm gonna go over there and talk about some little guys in the film who I might not always remember in the thing, but who maybe are a little bit interesting. Okay, so, Interesting Goon News. That's my little segment, right? Okay. First interesting goon in Interesting Goon News. There's a guy who literally is just credited in the credits as Dave the Thug. Just Dave the Thug. Doesn't get any more original than that, right? But you know what? I like it. I actually, if they would have called him like Steve or something, I never would have known who he was. But no, they refer to him as Dave the Thug. And I wanted to bring him up because he's played by Roger Yuan. Who's Roger Yuan? Okay, well, if you watch these films, you might have seen a film that came out, I think, 2008, starring Rick Yoon, called The Fifth Commandment. Yes, The Fifth Commandment. That sounds right. If it isn't, you can look it up, and it's one of the commandments. One of the good ones. They're all good, aren't they? They're alright. But he played the main villain in that. So if you wanted to see a progression of Roger Yuan, well, he went from being Dave the Thug to being the main villain in Rick Yoon's film. So good for him. That's pretty cool. Other interesting goon news that I wanted to bring up. There's this guy who works for Drago who's never really given a name per se in the film, but he's just this sort of stoic Japanese dude who kicks the shit out of Richard Norton at one point in the film. And he's actually played by a guy named Toshishiro Obata. See, I'm good at Japanese names. I'm terrible at Thai names. Watch my Ong Bak review. But I'm good at Japanese names, so that's redeeming. That's what we call a redeeming feature. So Toshishiro Obata, right? Okay, why is he important? Well, Toshishiro Obata is amazing, okay, because he's a guy, and aside from being a guy, he's like a master of Aikido, and oh wait, by the way, he also started his own sword fighting style called Shinkendo. Oh yeah, that's right. He's a sword master, a legitimate sword master. Alright, 90s films love to throw katanas into these things like that. This is one of the guys who could have actually tossed him a fucking katana, and he would have been amazing with it. Though he doesn't use a katana in this, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. He was in a bunch of things kind of in the 90s and stuff like that. He was in both of the Ninja Turtles films. He played like one of Shredder's kind of agents. But yeah, he's in there too, and I just figured, that's an interesting note, because, you do get to see him fight Richard Norton. Probably one of the few instances where, had they actually fought, Richard Norton may very well have gotten the shit kicked out of him in real life. So that's interesting goon news. Okay. So, alright. What to take away from this film? Alright, the good and the bad. My little good and bad thing. Alright, the good. For all intents and purposes, this is actually a pretty fun movie out of Cynthia Rothrock, and particularly having Cynthia Rothrock and Richard Norton team up. Oftentimes they were opponents. One time Richard Norton raped her. But, it's great just because they really do have a cool chemistry, and they are really friends in real life. And it was great just getting to see the two of them work together in this. So that's certainly a good point. The action is pretty damn badass. It's not, again, it's maybe not Hong Kong quality or anything like that, but it actually does a good job of showing off both Cynthia Rothrock and Richard Norton as far as, their skill level. It wasn't super basic. I'm going to go over there and do a sidekick. It's like, no, they, get to see him actually do some pretty cool stuff in it. Some of the characters, character, particularly Baby, I thought, even though he's a mix of just agonizing spaz and actually pretty fun because he kind of breaks up. Whoever directed the film, I didn't... Terrence H. Winkless. Terrence A. Winkless. Space Goblins named him. Anyway, whoever directed the film was... I'm sure that they just went over there and were like, okay, this is kind of cool for action's sake, but maybe we should have somebody break up, the quiet. Because, I mean, both Cynthia Rothrock and Richard Norton are great in their own right. And they're not terrible actors, to be fair. They're not great. But they're not terrible. I've seen some terrible... But they're not that. But they are both a little bit stoic at times, and so having this idiot there kind of breaks things up. I thought that was a smart move. You've also got, like I said, you've got some great side casting. You've got Brian Thompson, Roger Yuan, and, of course, the amazing, possibly the coolest guy in the movie, if I'm being honest, Toshishiro Obata. So, that's the good. Alright, the bad. Littered with space goblins. Littered with fucking space goblins. I'm not... I don't know. I'm not gonna say that, like, that the movie doesn't have a sense of continuity. It does. But sometimes it definitely stretches a bit as far as, like, what you can kind of take in stride and what you can't. There are definitely things that just leave you kind of wondering, what the fuck are they doing? Like, Why is there a creepy, kid filming Cynthia Rothrock? Well, it's convenient to the plot. What is Cynthia Rothrock and Richard Norton team up? Well, it's convenient to the plot. It just, that's kind of, and to be fair to this film, a lot of films, kind of American martial arts films made around this time, by their standards, this is flat out some Quentin Tarantino bullshit as far as, like, actually having some continuity and some depth of story, because a lot of these films are... You talk about space goblins in this, but I mean, just the scale of devastation that some of these films bring with their storylines is just ridiculous. This one is not too bad. The carnage isn't excessive, as it were, with the space goblins and all. Let's see. I guess the production value isn't great. It's not terrible by any means, but, like, there's a lot of fighting on warehouses and stuff like that. That's another thing that a lot of these kind of American-made films tend to fall into, is a lot of warehouse fighting and stuff like that. And you can kind of tell, they paid some guy $5 to go over there and, fight in his shed. Cleaned out the corpses so they could fight in his shed. So it does fall into that. Also, I would have liked to have seen a more significant fight between Cynthia Rothrock and Brian Thompson. Brian Thompson, as I understand it, is a legitimate black belt in Hapkido. I don't know where he was in his training at this point, but if I'm being honest, when you compare him to Cynthia Rothrock and Richard Norton, he comes off a bit stiff as far as the martial arts is concerned. Although I did want to say one other good thing about Brian Thompson in this film. I did actually like his character actually has some surprising depth, some conflict of emotion that not all these characters do. So that was a good thing. But his fighting, not bad, but not great. I don't know, I guess that it's pretty much the good and the bad. That sounds about right, doesn't it? I think so. It's space goblins! So many space goblins. Alright, alright. What does this movie amount to, right? Okay. On the scale of 1 to 10, where does this movie fall? with the bottom of the rung just being... Let's think of an analogy together, folks. The pile of bat dung. Sure, why not? The pile of bat dung that is Ninja Revenge. That's the bottom. And 10 being them making another Rage and Honor movie. There's even, like, credits for it online at some point. Maybe someone can tell me, like, was there ever this movie? Like, was it, like, shot in Manila or something on, like, a $5 budget and just never saw the light of day? Because I've literally seen, like, credits for the damn thing. And my guess is it never actually happened, that somebody just posted that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of you know. Some of you, by some of you, I mean no one who's watching my damn videos. But, okay, so... where does Rage and Honor fall? Arbitrary numbers aside, let's go ahead and call it... you know what? Let's call it a 5. You know, the Space Goblins kind of bring this one down. Like I said, the action is pretty badass. The story is littered with Space Goblins that just kind of bring the movie down. You know, it's like a 5. It's a fun movie. I legitimately enjoy it. And it's probably one of our, you know, better American productions. 5, in fact, might be being a bit harsh, but the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, why didn't nobody think about this when they were doing the movie? Is there no one on set who's just like, yeah, why is it? But, okay. What does a 5 amount to? What does a 5 amount to? A 5 amounts to... A 5 amounts to them going over there and announcing a third Rage and Honor movie, getting all excited about it, and then finding out that it's being done by not Cynthia Rothrock and Richard Norton. It's in fact being done by... I don't know. Some French actors or something. Who aren't David Bell and Cyril Raffaelli, because I would actually watch that Rage and Honor if it were done by those two. But yeah, so that's effectively my summation of the film. Like I said, it's not great, it's not terrible. It's fun. You know, if you're a fan of Cynthia Rothrock or Richard Norton, I would definitely suggest checking it out. If you're not, and, you know, maybe you just want to fight space goblins with logic, then maybe you want to watch it too. But that's my review for the film. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. It's 37 minutes. I keep trying so hard to... Alright. Anyway. So, I sign off here. Can you tell I'm, like, just worn out to all hell today? I'm sorry. It was either do this video or not doing it all today, and I had to try. So anyway, okay. Because I have felt the full impact of the Savage Killers and have fought the one-man army in a heroic fight. Because I am Brandon Wenzel, and I review martial arts films because I know Kung Fu. Alright, folks. Have a good one. Signing off.